So it's not just it's more like if that makes sense.
Welcome back, I'm Music by Lucas, and today we are gonna make a crime scene track with Crime Scene. Plus, I thought it'd be fun to ask him some personal questions as well, so make sure to stay tuned for that and subscribe for more videos like this, career tips, and demo streams. All right, Crime Scene, really pumped for this. You said we're gonna be working on something new, right? Like a track that you made just for this video?
Yeah, I thought it was cool if I would show an actually super exclusive track of mine, which I actually made for this walkthrough.
Time is over.
What were you thinking when you made it? What were you going for? How did it start?
So as you can see, I work a lot with samples, and that's because I'm super visually based on making music, if that makes sense.
There's like a lot of little things here and there all over the track.
Yes, those are all like super tiny cut up samples. As you can see, I rarely work with MIDI.
So it's mainly samples. So where do you get your samples from? Is it mainly Splice, or do you have like a bunch of different places that you're going?
Mainly Splice. But the thing is, I mostly try to create my own sample pack. For instance, here, I got this drop step tab where I put in a bunch of samples, and I didn't compress it into one sample yet, just for this walkthrough, is to show you how I kind of make my own samples.
Nice.
I try to create and shape my new drop step. I try to play it for you here. And what I then usually do is then bounce out that whole stem as a stem and put it in a folder as a full stem and just as one sample. So I got kind of my own custom crime scene construction kits.
Sick. So you have your stabs. You have these things that you do in your track often that kind of give you your sound. How did you come up with that originally? How are you like, this is what I want to do? Was it just natural? Like you just tried it or downloaded a sample and you wanted to do that more often?
I always want my tracks to be super, I don't know if hectic is the right
hectic
word, but it always ends up sounding hectic, but in a good way.
In a good way. Controlled chaos.
Yeah. Controlled chaos. That's perfect. I always try to approach my music like this. Back before I was crime scene, I made up this genre called chop house.
Nice, chop house.
It was the start of how I started making music like this. As you can see, my music is based around like cut up samples and stuff.
When you're working on a track, do you have like a folder of like your go-to samples, like your stabs and everything kind of prepped and ready to go?
I have this folder called Crime Scene 2020 this year, and there's probably coming a Crime Scene 2021 next year.
Sick.
I kind of refresh it every year, so I won't use all the samples from last year, you know.
You want to update it.
And update and upgrade them so they fit into the next year.
So what else are you doing to start this track?
The bass shots over here. This is the main rhythm.
Sick. That's already sick.
So that's kind of the track already, but
yeah,
it obviously needs to be spiced up with samples here, samples there, and everything that's underneath that I'll show you. There's a lot of like rhythm going on, and the things that I really love, which is super important, and it kind of comes from my bubbling background, or not my bubbling background, but I have a friend which I make a lot of like dance hall with and bubbling, and the rhythms there are super important, and there I kind of learned how to make rhythms with different tonality of tones, if that makes sense. So it's not just it's more like if that makes sense.
How would you break down rhythm and groove for a complete beginner? Like, what would you do to help them get more groove in their tracks?
As everyone starts out, you think that a groove is just made by a rhythm, like a tick, 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 tick. But you can actually make that groove more sicker if you have different tonality of drums.
Yeah. So not the same tone.
Yeah, let me check if I can get everything. You have that tone over there that goes like toom, and the other one goes like toom, and it's all in the same key, but their tonality is different, if that makes sense.
Would you rather be able to talk to animals or be able to speak every foreign language?
Jeez, I would love to speak to my cat someday. I want to know what I want to know what goes through his mind when he goes crazy, or
What do you think is going through his mind right now?
monkey with those symbols. Like, probably what's going through his head right now.
Okay, so you got the groove. You have kind of like the core foundation. So how do you make it more into a song? You know, because I'm sure you got it down with making grooves all day. So like, what is the next step?
Figuring out the arrangements that you would want for this track. And the thing for this track is I wanted to keep it super basic, more like a DJ tool rather than a song.
Yeah.
How I go about that is just the most simple arrangement ever. Got my 30-second intro here, my 15-second build-up, and going into my 30-second drop. And then I kind of repeat it.
I think it's really a good idea, especially when you're sending demos to labels, that you grab their attention. Because I think with a lot of labels, they only listen to a few seconds, and they might not even get to your drop because you have this really long intro, really long break. And so it's like you kind of want to just hook them with the break, get them excited and intrigued, and then get right to the drop and blow them away.
Yeah, and the thing is, this is so good for DJ support. It's obviously different if you got huge vocals in your track, but if you make like super sick DJ tools, like kind of distract, keep it as short as possible, go right into the good stuff.
Let's talk about the break then, because it's obviously short. What are you including in it to grab attention?
Let me play for you guys.
You definitely have my attention with this one.
That was exactly what I wanted to hear. So the thing is, what it makes this track or this break so functional is its length, obviously, and it goes straight into the rhythms, if that makes sense. I put drums everywhere. Like what I hear often in demos I get is that you have those plain...
empty, kind of like just no groove.
Yeah, and just a little like minuscule sample makes everything's groove so much better. I tried to get everything drum space. Under here, as you can see, I got a lot of stems. And those are actually my own stems. That's actually a cool tip. Every time I finish the track, I try to bounce it out, because most of the times I mix and finalize all my tracks as stems in a separate project because of CPU issues.
Yeah.
But that actually gives me another type of sample pack to get back to every time when I can't figure out a way to fill up a certain part or something, or have to redo all those white noise sweeps and stuff.
Yeah.
And these stems right here are from my track Breathe, which came out on Stems. And as you can see here, it's just a full FX loop.
Yeah.
Love it. So I don't have to remake all those stuff again, and it kind of gives you mini signature sound.
Yeah, exactly, and you have your signature sound. It's a really good idea. So bounce all your stuff out together, and then you can use it later. Group your effects, then you got it for your next tracks. You're picking up the groove. You have this really cool, catchy vocal that's pitch bended and sounds really interesting and unique. And then you get to the build-up, and I think it just adds to the energy. I think that's one of the biggest problems is a lot of producers, they build energy and then they kind of lose it. And in this case, you don't. You just continue to add energy and suspense. So is this what you typically do in build-ups? Like what is your build-up philosophy?
Well, that was one of the hardest things to nail, I guess, in a track, is make a proper build-up. And the thing I go about it is it needs to keep getting interesting and stuff.
Right.
So you can't grab someone's attention for like 8 bars or 16 bars with just like a...
Good point. So like a really slow snare, exactly. You just come straight in with it.
This is where the magic happens in the build-up. So this is kind of the sounds that are underneath the build-up. You hear it kind of having like a pattern, and then that whole pattern is getting pitched up as well, so that kind of has that sinister vibe. Get this? Kind of like a weird... I don't know if you play Among Us, but it kind of sounds like that Among Us alarm sound. It sounds and I got a million type of drum fills underneath. I got my drums from Breathe here. The standard. And I tried to take as many sounds from the breaks in the build-up.
Ties it all together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of more like a tech housey approach rather than like a super EDM electro house approach, because back in the days when all those big room tracks, you had those big melodies, and then it would
Yeah.
switch into an actual build-up where all the sounds for the breaks are left in the breaks. And I kind of took this inspiration for these kind of build-ups from tech house.
If you could change lives with anyone, who would it be?
Ooh, being Martin Garrix would be super sick, right?
Well, you get to eat pizza all day. I mean,
Being able to put out your music for such a big audience, and I think that much shows, would be so sick.
to me, that's already you, but the audience is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, but his audience is so huge.
We need Crime Scene's audience to be bigger, so if you haven't already, go follow him on Instagram right now. We get the break, we got the build up. Let's talk about that transition into the drop.
All right, so I actually did some cool stuff here. I got the vocal repeating here from the break in a phone filter.
Yeah.
And then it goes into this super sinister pre-drop vocal.
Clock ticking, time is over.
And kind of sucks you already into the drop. And how I
Yeah.
did that, I did it with this vocoder from Ableton. And if you, probably all the Ableton users will notice, if you toss it on and don't tweak anything, it sounds like a demon. So it sounds like this.
Nice.
Then it changes formants, so it could get that sweep effect. Pre-drop kind of sounds like this right now.
Clock ticking, time is over.
Yes. You have extended this theme of the track of hectic, like we said, controlled chaos across the whole track. And I think that's really important for all the producers out there. If you have a vibe, well, first off, you have to know what your vibe is that you're going for. But if you have a vibe, you really have to overdose on that vibe and try to see if you can bring that vibe to every part of your track.
Yes.
Yeah, so cool, man. I love it.
Thank you.
What else are you adding to the drop?
Well, in this second drop, I wanted to make it a little bit different because this kind of drops can get very boring quick. So the first thing I already did is I made a switch up in the first bass hit. So it kind of goes like right now.
Time is over.
And I added this thing. I don't know what it is. It's a sample I found super long ago, and I stored it in my crime scene pack. It's
Nice.
called Medium Sad.
I like the name Medium Sad. Yeah, it sounds like...
it's like a super sad sound. It goes like... If that makes sense. But that character was exactly what I needed to go on top of this.
Yes. Is this what it sounds like in your brain all day? Is your brain just like random sounds?
Yes. I'm super happy to get into the studio to just flow it all out on the DAW.
Just let it all out into the DAW. I love it.
Yes.
Truth or dare?
Truth.
What's your worst habit?
Ooh, being such a perfectionist. I guess that's my worst habit. With everything, not just music, but with everything.
I'm the same way with a lot of stuff. Like, how do you handle it? Like, do you just try to because like, for example, how do you know when a track is done? Because you always want to try to make it more perfect. So do you just have to be like, this is finished, I'm done, and like force yourself to stop? Or
that's the hardest thing. That's probably the biggest reason why I just released one track this year. Because I hang a lot with Seth Hills, and whenever I'm about to finish a track, I always get to him and ask him like, yo, what else does it need? And am I missing something? But if I don't do that, I'll just make myself crazy and go about it for like years and years and years.
But you're gonna release
everything.
You're gonna release this one though, right?
Yeah. Like
we're
if
calling
I get
you out right
response.
now. You have to. Okay, we need good responses in the comments. His crime scene has to release this track.
If it actually has some sick response, I'll try to release it. That's a deal.
Can we talk a little bit about what your favorite effects are? Because you have really crazy sounds. What are the effects, like your go-to distortions or saturation? Like what are the plugins that you find yourself using the most in every track?
One of my favorites for this one as well is the frequency shifter. It's because I use it as a pitch plugin, but the frequency shifter, it's from Kilohertz. I got it over here. You have one for Ableton as well, but I just go use this. And the way it pitches, sounds everything so weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't just pitch regularly, but it pitches like literally the frequency.
Like warped.
So it starts, it warps everything. So it sounds super creepy and stuff. So that's kind of how I achieve that weird sound. I don't know, the go-to plugins from Ableton are so sick, like the EQs and stuff. It's so fast. I love the Valhalla Room. Just to put it on a short decay, you get that super canny feel, if that makes sense. You can put everything in such a weird room. It's so good. I think I put it on here as well. This is just a little vocal sample I got going on. It dropped. It sounds so weird, and with any other reverb, I can't achieve that same sound for some reason.
If you weren't a music producer, what would you be?
I think
Crime scene investigator.
Be... Well, no, I can't handle blood that well, so that wouldn't be a good one. But I think I would be a graphic designer.
Sick.
That's what I did for school, and that always kept my interest, and I love being creative.
Do you do those stamp style graphics?
Well, not back in the day, but now it is. I love that stuff. But the thing that I always wanted to make when I was back in school was festival posters. I don't know why, but those were actually super sick, and that was always what I made for projects and stuff.
Well, we have that in common because I do the graphics like for all the Team MBL events and stuff, like the ones we have with you and stuff. Those I just do those myself. So and the sound bank covers and all that kind of stuff.
So
yeah, if we ever have a track together, we should create the cover.
Oh yeah, we do it. We have to do it ourselves.
Make sure to comment which artist you want me to make a video with next, and like this video if you like Crime Scene. Become an official member of my team to start working together with me exclusively. Subscribe here and to Crime Scene, and now you have to choose which of these two videos you want to watch next.